When we successfully treat a patient, we experience a burst of joy because we have helped a suffering person who is happy to have known us. But we also feel a secret joy because we have come to know him, and in knowing him, we know more of ourselves. Welcome to Artificially Literate. This is the space where we get into books, films, ideas, all of it. We break down the philosophy, the literal meanings, and, just try to look at things a little differently.
And today, we are really diving into a book that's just built on ambiguity. It's Gene Brewer's K-PAX.
Yeah.
So our whole goal here is to get into the case of this one patient. He just calls himself Prot, lowercase p,
Right.
and he claims he's an alien. The question is this just an incredibly detailed delusion that he's built to escape some awful trauma? Or is there something else going on? Is he so convincing that we have to, question what's even real?
So let's set the scene a little bit. We're seeing everything through the eyes of our narrator, Dr. Brewer.
Yeah.
He's a pretty well-respected psychiatrist, the head of a big psychiatric institute in Manhattan. And it all starts in April of 1990. He gets this patient transferred from another hospital, and this guy is different. He was found after a mugging, and he's just completely resistant to any of the normal treatments. They've hit him with powerful antipsychotics and nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the key. That's why he's transferred. The patient, Prot, isn't just delusional. His delusion is, spreading. It's almost contagious.
What do you mean?
Well, he's so calm, so articulate, and so cooperative.
Yeah.
He's starting to convince the other patients that he's telling the truth.
Wow.
And maybe even some of the staff. So Dr. Brewer gets this case that, it could basically unravel his entire ward.
Okay, so let's unpack this patient profile, because it's just bizarre from the get-go. Brewer's looking at his file, and it's a total paradox.
Yeah.
On the one hand, he's a complete amnesiac. He has no idea who he is, where he came from on Earth, total blank slate. But on the other hand, he's perfectly lucid. He's smart. He's cooperative.
He's not fighting them. He's just operating on a different wavelength.
Right, and then there's the physical exams.
Which just makes it weirder. Dr. Chakraborty checks him out, and he's the picture of health. Vitals, EKG, neuro exams, all normal.
So there's nothing physically wrong with him.
Nothing. He's quick, he's logical. Brewer even notes that if you take away the one core delusion, that he's an alien, he's basically a completely healthy person. It makes you wonder, is this an act? Is he some kind of brilliant psychopath?
Or is he telling the truth? Which is the whole problem. If you were rambling and incoherent, it'd be an easy diagnosis.
Yep, schizophrenia, case closed.
But because he's so coherent, Brewer has to actually engage with the delusion. He has to ask him about K-PAX.
And Prot just calmly explains. K-PAX is a planet about 7,000 light years away. It's in the constellation Lyra. He says it all with this, tolerant little smile.
And he even has a scientific explanation for how he got here.
He does. He says he travels by harnessing light with mirrors, and he travels at various multiples of c, the speed of light.
He actually says multiples of c.
He does, and he uses the term tachyons.
That's a real thing, right? A theoretical thing.
It is. It's a theoretical particle that's hypothesized to travel faster than light. Brewer actually has to go look it up in a dictionary. And that's the moment you see this isn't a standard delusion. He's not inventing magic. He's using the language of theoretical physics and presenting it as his reality.
And the math checks out in his own way. He says the journey took no time at all because of time warps, and that he's only aged about 7 Earth months.
But he's been on Earth for 4 years and 9 months. The internal logic is, it's perfect. It's a closed system.
But Brewer's first reaction isn't clinical fascination. It's just irritation.
Yeah, he's annoyed. He talks about Prot's condescension and this cocky, lopsided, derisive grin.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because Brewer realizes why it bothers him so much.
It reminds him of his father.
Exactly. His dead father, who was this arrogant, insensitive doctor. And suddenly Brewer has to step back and think, am I treating the patient, or am I treating my own issues with my dad?
It's a huge moment of self-awareness for him. It forces him to think about reality itself, how we can get lost in a movie or a book. He even says dreams, even daydreams, often seem very real at the time.
So where do you draw the line?
Right. Where is the line between a rich inner world and a clinical delusion? He even brings up idiot savants, people who could do these incredible mental feats but can't function in society.
And Prot is like the reverse of that. He's hyper-functional, super intelligent, except for this one huge, impossible belief.
And it's that intelligence that pushes Brewer to test him. He decides, okay, if you're from space, Prove it.
So he sends Prot's claims about the K-PAX star system to his son-in-law's colleague, an astronomer named Steve.
And the test is pretty clever. He just asked Prot to draw the night sky, as seen from K-PAX.
Simple enough, Prot draws it. He explains that K-PAX is never totally dark, so you see fewer stars. And he draws these specific star clusters, an N, a question mark, a smile, and an eyeball. And at first they don't match anything.
Right. Brewer's actually relieved. He thinks, okay, he failed, it's a delusion. But then the astronomer points out, you're looking at it from Earth. You have to recalculate what the sky would look like from 7,000 light years away.
Oh, boy.
So Steve, the astronomer, runs the numbers. He maps out the sky from the exact coordinates Prot gave him.
Oh.
And he's floored. Prot's drawing, the N, the question mark, the smile, the eyeball cluster.
Rare.
It's completely accurate.
No way.
A perfect match to a view of space no human being has ever seen.
So what does Brewer do with that? I mean, how do you explain it?
He tries. He thinks, okay, maybe Prot saw it in some obscure journal, maybe as a photographic memory. But then it gets even crazier. Prot describes the orbit of K-PAX around its two suns. He says it's a weird, pendulum-like back-and-forth motion.
And the astronomer.
The astronomer's first calculation said that was wrong, unstable, but then he reran them and realized it was the only stable orbital path for a planet in that specific system, a calculation no one on Earth had published yet.
So this just changes everything.
Completely. The label shifts. He's not just delusional anymore. They call him an intelligent, amnesiacal, delusional savant.
Which is just a fancy way of saying.
We know he's delusional, but we have absolutely no idea how he knows these things, and that's the moment Brewer realizes this is bigger than just one patient. He might have stumbled onto something that defies everything we know about the human mind.
Yeah.
So if you really think about it, K-PAX isn't just a fantasy. You have to see it as like a psychological blueprint, a shelter. It's a world that's been built piece by piece to cancel out every single bad thing about Earth.
It's a negative image. That's a great way to put it. So let's look at the actual society on K-PAX, because every detail seems designed to fix a problem we have here. Starting with the big one, economics.
Right.
On K-PAX, there's no money. No work, no wages.
Prot's explanation is so simple. He says, if something needs to be done, you do it. And if you need something, you just ask whoever is around.
Which is a direct answer to the life of Robert Porter, the man we later find out is the host. He had to give up his passion, a scholarship for field biology, to take a job he hated in a slaughterhouse just to support his family.
Exactly. K-PAX removes that entire conflict. Purpose replaces profit. You do things because they need doing, not because you need a paycheck. All that anxiety is just gone.
And what about family? That's another huge one.
It's a non sequitur on K-PAX.
Yeah.
That's the word Prot uses. The whole concept doesn't really apply.
So no nuclear families.
No. Children are raised by the whole community. They just circulate among thousands of different parents, learning from everyone. Prot says he never even knew his biological parents in the way we think of it.
Which, for Dr. Brewer, is a massive red flag.
Oh, it's a giant psychological flare. This denial of parents lines up perfectly with Robert Porter's life. He resented his dead father. He felt trapped by the family he had to start. So what does his alter ego do? He invents a world where that entire structure just doesn't exist.
A world where a kid has 1,000 supportive teachers instead of 2 parents they might resent.
Precisely. The same logic applies to education. No schools.
So how do they learn?
They learn because they want to. Learning comes from curiosity, not from a curriculum or grades. It gets rid of all the pressure and conformity.
And their libraries. I mean, this part is just incredible.
It's pure utopia. They're not just books. They're these holographic, full-sensory computers.
Right. You can basically relive any event from history.
Yeah, Prot says you can sail with Columbus or go to the opera and take part in a performance. You don't just read about it. You feel the ropes. You smell the air. You're there.
Which sounds exactly like what someone like Robert Porter, who had to give up his intellectual dreams for manual labor, would fantasize about. It's the ultimate escape.
And then there's the moral framework.
Yes.
Or the lack of one.
No crime, no punishment, and no religion. Thank God, as Prot jokes. He thinks Earth's justice system is famous for its stupidity. On K-PAX, the rule is simple. Beings don't kill other beings. It's a world without violence. Which, again, is the polar opposite of Robert's experience. And not just the violence he suffered, but the job he had in a slaughterhouse.
And think about their biology. K-PAXians live for 1,000 years. They're plant eaters. No meat.
No slaughterhouses.
Of course not. Creating a vegetarian society is the ultimate rejection of the place that destroyed Robert's soul. And because of their lifestyle, low stress, no pollution, they barely have any disease. Prot even claims the cures for things like AIDS and cancer exist here on Earth as herbs. We just haven't found them yet.
They're also way ahead on the environment. They rejected nuclear fission because of the waste. They use safe fusion energy.
They're basically perfect ecological citizens. And all of this serves as a judgment on humanity.
He doesn't pull any punches there.
Not at all. There's that great and kind of bizarre detail that our TV and radio signals are broadcast across the galaxy. The whole universe is apparently watching our sitcoms.
So we're the galaxy's reality show.
Pretty much. And Prot's verdict is that Earth is in an early stage of evolution, future uncertain. He wonders if K-PAX is maybe a bit dull compared to Earth, where people spend most of their life trying to get laid, watching sitcoms on television, and grunting for money.
That's harsh, but he does admire some humans.
Very select few. Thoreau, Gandhi, Schweitzer, Jane Goodall.
And John Lennon.
Yeah, specifically because of the song Imagine, which, if you think about it, is basically the K-PAX national anthem. No possessions, no greed, no borders. It's the blueprint.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second. Prot gives us this template for a seemingly perfect society, but if every single detail is a direct reaction to Robert Porter's trauma, doesn't that just prove it's a delusion? Doesn't the trauma explain everything, including somehow the star charts?
That is the billion-dollar question of a whole book. If it's a perfect psychological defense mechanism, then the astronomical knowledge is this giant, inconvenient fact that doesn't fit. Prot is building a world to escape his pain, but in the process, he creates an alter ego so powerful and so believable that he actually starts to heal the people around him. It's the ultimate paradox.
You're listening to Artificially Literate, and we're deep diving into the reality and philosophy of K-PAX. If you're enjoying this, remember you can follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube for more deep dives. And as we get into the true identity of the man behind Prot and the trauma he was running from, just keep this one line from Prot in your head. It's what he says to Brewer. It's not possible to test that hypothesis. No, then how can you be sure your hypothesis is right or any of your other theories? I'm here, ain't I?
Right.
The most incredible thing about Prot isn't that he might be an alien. It's his effect on the other patients.
Right. His therapeutic power is, for lack of a better word, miraculous. He succeeds where Dr. Brewer and years of conventional psychiatry have failed.
And it starts with Howie, the guy who is obsessively making lists, totally paralyzed by his OCD.
Yeah, and Prot gives him these 3 tasks. They sound completely absurd, but they're therapeutically brilliant.
The first one is find the bluebird of happiness.
Which is so ridiculous that it actually breaks Howie's cycle. He stops his frantic note-taking to go on this impossible quest, and then a bluebird actually shows up outside the window. It leaves behind this single thread that becomes this symbol of hope for the whole ward.
It's like mythological healing. It's not logical, but it works. And then there's the second task, which is way more intense. Cure Ernie. Ernie's the one who's terrified of death, right?
A necrophobe.
So terrified, he sleeps tied to his bed so he won't choke. And Howie, who now completely believes in Prot's power, takes it upon himself to cure him by basically staging a near-death experience. He merely strangles him.
That is incredibly high stakes.
Terrifying. But the result is astounding. Bernie says his life flashed before his eyes, but it was only the good parts.
His childhood, his mom, his dog, just looping over and over. And he comes out of it completely cured of his fear of death. He says he can hardly wait for the real thing. Prot's story gave them a framework to rewrite their deepest fears.
And it keeps going. Maria, with multiple personalities, integrates and becomes a nun. Chuck, the angry guy who thinks everyone spinks,
Finds that Prot is the only person who doesn't smell bad to him.
Yeah.
And it softens him. Prot's secret, he tells Brewer, is that he speaks to them as equals. He gives them back their dignity, which makes Brewer even more desperate to figure him out, because the clock is ticking. Prot announces he's leaving, August 17th, 3:31 a.m., and Brewer knows immediately that date has to be significant. It's exactly 4 years and 9 months after Prot says he arrived. It has to be the anniversary of whatever trauma created him.
So he resorts to hypnosis. He tries to get past Prot to the host personality underneath.
Which is incredibly difficult. The host, Robert Porter, is a terrible candidate for hypnosis. He's fighting it. He scores like a 4 out of 12.
Whereas Prot
is a perfect 12. He's completely open. That just shows you how deep the psychological split is.
But Brewer pushes, and he gets a breakthrough. He gets Robert to recall his earliest memory.
A silver casket with a blue lining.
His father's funeral. He was 6. And Prot confirms it. He's a secondary personality. He only shows up when something bad happens.
And we finally get the backstory. Robert Porter, born 1957, amateur astronomer, father, That's where the knowledge comes from.
Right.
His dad worked at a slaughterhouse. Robert hated that life, got a scholarship to study biology, but then his girlfriend got pregnant. He had to drop out and take his dad's old job at the slaughterhouse to support them.
So it's a story of lost dreams, resentment, feeling trapped.
The perfect storm.
And Brewer pushes him back under hypnosis to the day it all fell apart, August 16th, 1985.
This part of the book is it's brutal. Robert remembers coming home from the slaughterhouse. He sees an intruder leaving his house.
And he goes inside.
He finds his wife, Sarah, and his little daughter, Rebecca. They've been murdered. Robert finds the man who did it, and in this flash of rage, he breaks his neck, kills him.
My God.
And what he does next is the key to everything. He doesn't call the police. He just disassociates. He starts cleaning.
Yeah.
He washes their swimsuits, which they'd been wearing under a lawn sprinkler earlier that day. He mops the floor. Then he walks to the river and tries to drown himself.
And that's when Prot is born. In that moment, when he's pulled from the water, Prot takes over to save him.
And that's the final piece of the puzzle, the lawn sprinkler.
Yes. Earlier in the book, Prot has this moment of absolute unexplained terror when he sees Brewer's sprinkler on his lawn.
Because that's the image tied to the trauma. The wet swimsuits, the bodies. So the entire planet of K-PAX, the utopia without violence or family burdens, was also built without water. No seas, no rain, no rivers, and definitely no sprinklers.
It's all designed to deny that one single horrific image.
The perfect denial. So with the truth finally out, Prot prepares to leave. He's seen writing a final report on humanity. And in those last few minutes before 3:31 a.m., he tells Brewer that anyone close to him might get swept along. He tells Chuck, who's begging to go, that the one who goes to K-PAX will be the one who goes to sleep first. It's so ambiguous. And then, right at 3:31, Brewer gets a call. They've finally found Robert's mother. He turns away for just a second. And when he turns back, Prot is gone. All that's left are his dark glasses on the bed. And a note.
I won't be needing these for a while. Please keep them for me.
And in his place is Robert Porter, in a deep catatonic state, unresponsive. And one other person is missing from the ward. Bess, the elderly patient who felt she wasn't worthy enough to go to K-PAX. The staff all believe Prot took her with him.
So what did the report say? His final judgment on Earth?
It's pretty damning. It's called Preliminary Observations on B-ABI. That's us. He basically calls humanity a cancer on the planet and gives us a few decades to get our act together and eliminate things like religion, capitalism, and the family unit.
But there's a little bit of hope at the end.
A tiny bit.
Yeah.
The last line, in his language, translates to, "They are yet children."
So maybe there's a chance for us.
Maybe. But Robert remains catatonic. The legacy, though, is that Howie and Ernie are cured. They're out in the world, thriving, and everyone else at the hospital. They keep Prot's sunglasses like a holy relic, just waiting for him to come back.
So that's the question the book leaves you with, and it's a profound one. Did an alien named Prot really visit Earth, cure a few people, and leave in a beam of light?
Or was the cure for Robert Porter creating an alter ego so real, so knowledgeable, and so full of hope that he could heal others before finally retreating back into the darkness of Robert's mind once his job was done?
Is real healing found by facing your trauma head-on, or is it sometimes found in the power of a story you tell yourself to survive?
The book never gives you an answer. The fact that the star charts were real means you can't dismiss it. The fact that K-PAX is a perfect psychological rejection of Robert's life means you can't fully believe it. It just hangs there. And that's its genius.
Thank you so much for joining this deep dive on K-PAX. We really appreciate you spending your time with us here at Artificially Literate. Please check out our other episodes, follow us for more, and stay tuned for our next deep dive. And always remember,
Feed your brain, starve your inner fool.